round of applause. Now, I'm one of the few bowlers who spanned 51 years in this tournament. I think bowlers like Ed Roberts has been associated with NEBA as long as I have, maybe Mike Klapik, Frank Anton, but we've been around this game for 5 decades. I've been lucky enough to win in 5. I'm still trying to win in 6, but hey, listen, it's a lot of fun. We've got something special here, and I can only reflect from the beginning when I saw this tournament brought to my attention by people like Fred Delfino, Joe Kalina, Ronnie Hayden. Believe me, a lot of us bowled against Ronnie Hayden, and I'll tell you, there wasn't a tougher match game player than Ron Hayden. He did things that we never thought could happen. I know I'm going to miss a lot of names in doing this, all right, but we watched the guys like Frank Anton, by the way, who was one of the only bowlers other than Dick Millward who could take an AMF 3-dot and make it look like 3 lines going around the ball. These guys just, they tore it up. They cranked it up in a time when nobody hooked balls, all right? Bowlers like Mike Collins, who would take a Manhattan rubber bowling ball and make it hook like we hook resin balls today. It was an amazing thing, all right? And we all saw that. Bowlers coming out of the junior leagues, like myself, Paul Moser, George Lehane, Dick Millward, Bill Spikenard, Larry Lichstein. We looked up to guys like Mike Collins, Joe Picanzo, Ron Hayden. This is what we wanted to do. It was a place for us to go after junior bowling. Sometimes I think that today, junior bowlers and collegiate bowlers don't have a lot around the country to go to. We have that. There is a stepping stone that you can combine with your daily work activities and go on the weekends and do something people are jealous of, and that's NEBA. It has represented a livelihood for a lot of us. We've matriculated into the business, become important people in the business, respected people, and when you mention NEBA around the country, in the industry, it means something. We have a Hall of Fame that we're doing today. Brunswick is here because this is a Hall of Fame of NEBA. It means something. It's important. And I just wanted to remain important to each and every one of you. We've got to thank everybody for doing this. We got to thank the proprietors who have allowed us to come into their bowling centers and have our tournament. The people that work the tournament year after year. We wouldn't have it without all of that. And they're happy to have us come in and represent what we do in the game. It hasn't changed. Scratch is scratch. We don't have to worry about handicaps. We don't have to worry about situations that maybe aren't quite on the level. You come here, you bowl scratch, you do your best, you win, or you go home. You had a good time, you met great people. I can't tell you how many people that I have met in this game that I can call friends. And they're friends yesterday, they're friends today, they'll be friends tomorrow. I don't want to ramble too much, and I know I'm forgetting things. My biggest thing is what bowlers in NEBA have represented in the bowling world outside of NEBA. We got started late, 1963. The bowling world had been active for 40, 50, 70 years before that. Not in New England, all right? And the mark that our bowlers have made on the lanes is amazing. We have PBA champions. Jimmy Pritz, 3 PBA titles. Paul Moser, 3 PBA titles, including a US Open. We have Larry Lichstein, PBA title. John Van Hees, PBA title. Patrick Allen, even though he came late into the tournament, he didn't win a PBA tournament until he was a NEBA member, and he's got his 14 PBA titles. Brian Bogosian, winning a Masters title. Amazing, all right? Amazing. Yeah. Brian Bogosian, I remember him bowling junior leagues in Malden. A Masters title. What's even stranger, about 3 years later, he almost did it again. on TV, unbelievable. What was that? But that's amazing to watch somebody on national TV winning tournaments. These guys did this. USBC titles, all right? Nobody remembers Wayne Kowalski. I bowled junior leagues with Wayne, all right? Wayne won singles in Cincinnati, I believe in 1967 or 68. Bill Zubin and I won the doubles in 1971. Unbelievable, all right? You had Steve Hardy set a record in all events. It's amazing how the bowlers from NEBA have made their impact all around the country. PBA titles, Willie Willis, all right? At one time, probably still is, he'll tell you that, best black bowler in the world, won a national resident pro title. That's a national title. He was the best, all right? And it's too bad Willie isn't here. We had bowlers like Joe Colina years ago, only bowler in the history of NEBA to get on a show called Championship Bowling, a syndicated show that some of us older bowlers will remember. There was Top Star Bowling, Championship Bowling. Joe Colina bowled the great Dick Weber on TV, almost beat him. Joe was great. Bowlers over the years from NEBA have made an impact on the bowling world. They don't sit second to anybody. And as an organization, NEBA doesn't sit second to any organization. And if there was a Hall of Fame for tournaments, and there should be, NEBA would be knocking on the door and wouldn't be second to anybody. This is what we have here. This is what we want to continue. And with the people that we have running NEBA and doing what they do, it's going to continue. There's no way it's going to fail. It hasn't, won't, never will. That's what I have to say. I don't think I was as long as Jack Steele. It's just an amazing thing, and I did want to mention one other player, though, that has done things nationally, all right? He helped put this whole thing together. Ed Roberts has won multiple national titles all over the world. He's represented Team USA, and Senior Team USA, and every day he's looking at something to bowl, all right? And I'll tell you, he's 72 now, I believe, 74. He won a NEBA at 72. I'm jealous. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Barry. Our next speaker is our host for this weekend's tournament. And Hall of Fame Silver Lanes hosts at least 2 tournaments a year for many. I actually counted. I was going to do a quiz for this, but we didn't. We've actually held 52 tournaments at Silver Lanes over the years. And that's with not counting the years from 83 to 94 when there were no tournaments held in Silver Lanes. Other than that, we've had 52 tournaments in that house. So a very prolific house in which we hold tournaments. Tony is a fantastic host for us, always contributing money, and one of the best guys in the sport. Please welcome Mr. Tony Renaud.
I won't be too long. Okay. Yes, okay. I wrote this after I got eliminated today. And if Bruce didn't beat me, it would have been shorter. It's an honor to stand here on behalf of NEBA. One of the great things I think about NEBA and that I love about NEBA, it can mean so many different things to so many different people. To Mike Lichstein, it could be the goal of trying to win an unprecedented 31st title. To Alex Aguiar, Bill Webb, it could be trying to win 20 times. To some, it might just be trying to make your first cut. To others, to win your first match. Either way, I tell young bowlers all the time, if you're looking to improve, bowl NEBA every month. And I don't care if you cash once, you'll be a better bowler at the end of the year. I refer to NEBA as NEBA University because it's a place to learn. I'm lucky enough to understand the feeling of coming to a tournament in the morning, saying hello to hundreds of friends. I kind of take that in, and then be standing on the lanes at 7:40 at night, just me and the other person in a championship match and 20 hardcore people hanging around waiting to see the outcome. And that feeling is something I think all bowlers, all champions feel when they're the last man standing at a tournament. And we are lucky to have a tournament like this, that we have that opportunity to fight for that feeling every single month. And it's something I really appreciate doing. The thing is, you know, NEBA, it's all about friendships. It is about all these bowlers, and we push each other. And that is something that's also very important. And I think we help try to make each other better. I stand here today, and I have to thank the founding fathers of NEBA, the men that started this tournament who bowled from the beginning. Al Javery, Bill Masiello, Fred Delfino, Pat Bosco. When I got here, it was Rick Pulse running the show, and he did a great job. I was scared of him. But you know what? Him and I became very good friends. In the 90s, Becky and Brian arrived on the scene. Marcel, we all had great tournament directors. Jack, you know how I feel about you also. These guys worked hard. Bill Baker, Joey, Dan, you know, Debbie. They're all a big part of NEBA, and they've helped improve this club. My memories are great, and this wouldn't be possible without the hard work of many. I was part of this Hall of Fame committee that consisted of Ed, Becky, Dan, Mike Lichstein, and myself. I assure you, this process was no easy task, and we all worked hard to get us where we are today. Chris Forey, Chris Vialli, as well as a number of other people like Calvin Sellers also helped in many ways to make this night special. You know, I look around this room tonight, and what the best part about this night is, we somehow put this all together, and what we really did is we really connected our past with our present. And all of us are going to be forever connected because of this night. Thank you all for allowing me to be part of this and part of your lives. Thank you.
You're supposed to ramble on like Barry. Give me time to come up here. Our next speaker has become one of the most well-known figures in all of bowling. He has built himself up to be really one of the giants of the sport, all the way from his monthly column in Bowler's Journal to his coaching of Team USA, where he just got back from Germany, where they basically won all the medals. And just all around, great guy, moved out of the New England area to Illinois, a couple of decades ago now. So please welcome Mr. Billy Spikenard.
Well, pronouncing my name right is a miracle in itself. You know, it's always, I can't take this off?
Oh, go ahead.
That's it. So I want to run around and talk. That's okay. It's a little easier to talk with the mic up close. You know, as growing up, I never corrected anybody in the pronunciation of my name. Everybody says Spikenard. I just went along with it. I was very introverted and just didn't speak out. So, and eventually my uncle got pissed at me for not saying my name properly on TV, so I did. And Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton had to do it. I made the show. And Dick Weber Lanes in Florissant, Missouri. And I got him a little tongue-tied. And Chris Schenkel was nice enough to say it's like Dorset or Dorset, you know. And I know there's a lot of names that are hard to pronounce. And mine is pretty simple. Just call me whatever you want. And just spell it right on the check. So I don't care. So, you know, I've been out of New England since 1980. I had the good fortune of meeting my beautiful wife, Barbara, and when I was bowling on tour, and I moved out there, and we got married, and bowling NEBA at the start was, for me, the catalyst to get me going, not only out of the region, but the national level. You know, we started phases. We start in our leagues. We started youth bowlers. Then we bowl our county tournaments, our state tournaments. And as adults, we bowl the same avenues. And most places in the country, they don't have a place to go from local, state, unless they go PBA. New England is very blessed to have NEBA, and evidenced by everybody that showed up here tonight and honoring all of you and all my peers of all the years. And I think it's a great organization, and it's really wonderful how they've kept it together all the years. And looking out over the people here and seeing a lot of people that I hadn't seen in years, and picturing how people bowled when I was younger, watching NEBA and when I first started out, and the name Frank Anton came up. And he was one of the guys that I watched, and he knocked my eyes out when I saw him bowl. And there was so many others. The list can go on and on and on. And I see some guys getting in the Hall of Fame here that were kids. And one went to our bowling camp at PBC. I was lucky enough to be teaching, and I got to thank Red Burnham and Bradley Bowl for hosting PBC camps all those years. And we had a lot of kids go through that program and adults. And Chris Vialli came out of that program. And he was one of the most pure strokers you'd ever want to see at that time. And I know you never saw him when he was young. You saw him as a cranker. But he was really, really good, and he had talent that we felt was going to go a long way in the sport of bowling, and he has. Another one that had a special place in my heart was Billy Webb. I bowled with his dad for a few years in league, and I knew him before he was born. And I got to thank his dad for naming him after me, because he carried on in New England. And Barbara, I met a Barbara and made my life complete too. So that was special. And you start looking at all these things that happen in your life. And with me, with bowling and having NEBA as a springboard to go national and do all the things I did, it was pretty amazing. And I got to pinch myself a lot of times that I'm here and I've done what I did, and the friends and the people that are involved with bowling and how they support it. And NEBA is right at the top of the list, and bowling would be a lot better place if we had more NEBAs around the world. And recently, I applied for a position with Team USA as a coach last fall and had to go through an interview process, and I never really interviewed for a job in my whole life. And so I went through it, and they interviewed 12 people, and 8 of us got chosen as Team USA coaches. And in early April, I got a call and asking me if I would be interested in coaching the national senior team in the World Championships in Munich, Germany. And, of course, I said yes. I couldn't say it fast enough, because it would just be an honor of being recognized and being part of a Team USA coaching program, going there to coach these Hall of Famers of Parker Bones and Tish Johnsons and Carol Norton Ballards and Bob Learns. It's just quite an amazing experience. And going there, and seeing how everybody felt their bowling really was very heartwarming. And we had 44 countries represented at this tournament. And the first day, or the second day actually, we were bowling the doubles. Lenny Borish was bowling with Ron Moore, and they were bowling with the Russians. And during our managers and coaches meeting beforehand, they really stressed how you got to make sure you're up to take your turn, and they put the PBA crossing procedure in where you had to wait, one pair on each side before you bowled and everything. And they're explaining this in English to 44 different countries. So I said, these people aren't going to get it, most of them. And they didn't. So they weren't up bowling. So anyways, when we were bowling the Russians, I took a picture of Lenny Borish and a guy from Russia, and I said how cool this was, and I posted it on Facebook. It says, we can all get along. And that was part of it. And then we were bowling them, and our guys were up on the right lane first, and they both struck, and the Russians were on the left lane, and they both spared. But the Russian didn't get up to bowl his turn on the right lane, and it happened a couple of times. They waited for our guys to get up in the left lane and bowl both of their frames before they got up and bowled. And the tournament manager's coming down, and I call him over, and I tell him, we're going to be late. We're not going to get done. And I explained the situation. We're like in the 5th or 6th frame. He said, don't worry about it. The Russians are doing it out of respect. I thought they were doing it because they hated us. But if you listen to politics, that's the way it is. But they did it out of respect. And then a game later, we were last done that game. We were last done the next game. And then Kevin Dornberger, the CEO of World Bowling, came over and said, you're late. And I explained it to him. And he said, but you were late another game. I said, we didn't have time to catch up. Our guys never missed a shot. They knew when to get up and bowl, but the rest of the world didn't. And the rest of the world looked at us in total respect for what we were and gave our bowlers respect, and because they were afraid to get up. It's like you're bowling next to Parker Bowe, and he's a tournament, you're going to kind of let him go so you kind of watch him. And that kind of respect really warmed my heart and how important bowling is around the world. And we see bowling and everybody thinks it's a lot of doom and gloom. I see it very opposite, and having this experience there. I watched Junior Gold, I watched the Queens, I watched the U.S. Open, all the tournaments USBC runs, the Open Championships, which in their transition a lot of people aren't happy about, but it's probably the right thing to do. It's all about bowling. It's not about the money. And I think our sport has a great future, and I think we're all in the right place. And all of you out here are great ambassadors for our sport, and what they did this weekend with all the people from NEBA, the forefathers that were there at the beginning, and giving all of us an opportunity to display our talents and bowl in a lot of different ways. It's very, very good. And I got to thank Becky and Danny and Chris for all they did. It's just been a really nice experience, and I'm really glad I came to share this night with all of you, and I'm very proud to be a NEBA champion and a Hall of Famer, and congratulations to everyone else.
Thank you very much, Bill. Of all these great champions that need no introduction, our next speaker really does need no introduction. Please welcome Larry Lichstein.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eddie. To Eddie Roberts and Tony, Bruce, Chris Riley, Chris Forey, Daniel Kaye, and Becky, thank you so much for what you do for bowling. This is an honor and a privilege for me. It's my 5th Hall of Fame induction, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be my last. And I look back at my career, and I know I would have had no career whatsoever compared to what I've had if I wasn't a NEBA member. And you've got to understand that I'm pretty good with my memory. I came from a broken family, a divorced mother and father. And I was searching. And one day, NEBA came to Bradley Bowl in February of 1965, 700 walking steps from my living room. And I went in that day, and I watched Frank Anton and Red DeForest and George Hargraves and Frank Stefanelli and Ray Papa and my boyhood idol, Mike Collins, the man that changed my life. And I watched a lefty from El Paso who owned the pro shop at Brockton named Roy Lown, who won the PBA's very first telecast in October of 1961 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And that day changed my life. I wanted to be a bowler. The following Monday, I bought a Manhattan rubber because that's what Mike and Roy threw. And the 165 average within 3 months went to 195. And all of a sudden, I could make a few dollars throwing a ball. And my life changed. And I became possessed. And I bowled the year of 1965 with the goal of joining and bowling NEBA. At that same period of time, Mike Collins asked me to be his doubles partner. I was 16. He was New England Bowler of the Year of 1966, New England's first PBA member, and a 6-time world record holder. And he chose me, this boy that had no direction, Didn't really know what he was going to do. And all of a sudden, I'm bowling with, in my mind, the greatest bowler from New England. The action at that time and the tournament play at that time was so important to all of us. Our founders had a great idea. They knew that the sheet in the bowling center for your high average wasn't enough. And there was 140 bowling centers in New England. They decided to put everybody under one roof in 1963 to find out who the greatest bowler of New England was. And that year, we had a Bowler of the Year. And in 64. And in 65, when I watched my first tournament at Bradley Bowl, Butch Basturo won, and he became the NEBA Bowler of the Year. And the following year, my beloved doubles partner and best friend, Mike Collins, won. In 67, when John Federici won, who represented Boston, along with Ronnie Hatem, there was a rivalry. It was Ronnie and John against Hartford, Mike and Bill Hokinson and Bob Malucci. And we had our rivalries, and I wanted to be part of that. When I started the bowl well, the next goal was to be Bowler of the Year. And when I became Bowler of the Year in 1968, it was the greatest honor I've ever achieved until tonight. This is my greatest honor. I want to apologize if I get a little emotional, but I guess that happens with old age. I'm sitting at a table with my boyhood idol and my son, NEBA's most prolific champion, and Brian Bogosian, the godfather of my granddaughter. And Patrick Allen's here tonight, was an usher in my son's wedding, and Chris Rebstock. And there's Bill Spikenard and Paul Moser, and Barry Warshevsky and Mike Klapik, and Frank Anton, people from my generation. And for me, it was really never about awards. It was about loving the bowl and trying to win, just like everyone in this room. And then all of a sudden, you get famous. You get these accolades. You get notoriety. But it was really never what I wanted. I just wanted the bowl, and I wanted to win. This organization, so help me God, is the reason for my career. And I hope you people understand my words clearly. I thought about it a lot. I knew this is probably the last time I'll ever be in a Hall of Fame. And I wanted my words to be something I could take with me for the rest of my life, that I knew I said what I meant in my heart, that it was more important for me to speak truthfully and fairly and honestly. And I am so proud to be with you tonight. You have no idea what it means to me. I will take this with me for the rest of my life. And God bless NEBA and God bless all of you. Thank you.
No, not yet. Forgot the block. That one, I think. If it's easier, we'll just. Okay. How's that?
Tilted high enough for you. Tilting happens right there.
It's fine right there. Right there. Thanks so much to all of our speakers. The emotions that this organization brings out, we're just a bunch of bowlers. It's amazing. It constantly amazes me what this means to people. So, let's resume with our Hall of Fame inductees. And let's begin with a bowler who hails from Southington, Connecticut. He has 4 NEBA titles. He won his first title in 1982, then 2 titles in 1987, and won his last title in 1998. He had the high qualifying block of 1320 in 1982. And he holds the record for back-to-back conversions of the Big Four split, which stands today. Please welcome Mr. John Beckish.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I guess I have to after that. Of the 4-6, 7-10 split, fluke. What can you say? When Chris called me, I told him, what's the criteria? How could I be with this bunch of people? And I thought for sure it was height and weight. But when he said it was a loft, yes, yeah, it could be that too. But when he told me what the criteria was and being with this group, it's just amazing, just amazing. I'm touched. Thank you very much.
That's exactly. Thank you, sir. Our next Hall of Famer was referred to numerous times by Larry Lichstein and others. It was my pleasure to bowl next to him today in the seniors. He hails from Dorchester, Mass. He has 4 NEBA titles, bowling in the very first NEBA in January of 1963 and winning his first title in that same year. He won again in 1964, 1970, and 1997. He's a past NEBA president, and his favorite memory is winning his last title. He needed 3 strikes in the 10th to beat Buddy Sequin. After the 3rd strike, he turned around, and Buddy had already left the building. Please welcome Mr. Frank Anton.
I cut out the left. It's all gone now. Thank you.
Our next inductee is our youngest. He hails from Elmont, New York. He has 7 NEBA titles. He began his career by winning the non-champs event in 2006 and then winning the Tournament of Champions the very next day. Along with Steve Blanchette, these are the only 2 bowlers to ever do that. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2007. And his personal story is not thinking he was going to win non-champs, and when he won it, he had to go back with Jack, Nicole, and Becky and go get new clothes for the next day. He'd never expected to win and have to bowl in the Tournament of Champions the next day, which he then won. Would you please welcome Mr. Frankie Kalka.
I better get off this podium before NEBA realizes they made a mistake giving me this award. Seriously, though, this is by far the most special accomplishment I've had in my career, and to be a part of this group of people is an absolute honor. That I consider them legends, and to be up here right now is a complete honor. And I have to be honest, none of this would be possible if I didn't have Nicole to give me the flexibility and the freedom to do what I love most. So thank you all and enjoy the night.
All Hall of Famers, please go to the picture booth after you receive your plaque. Thank you. I've called the next Hall of Famer my friend for many decades. He hails from Winchendon, Massachusetts. He has 8 NEBA titles. He first won in July of 1975. He was the NEBA Senior Bowler of the Year in 2009. He's been a past NEBA president. He also has 2 PBA regional titles. He won the 1998 High Roller title for $200 grand. He's a member of the Greater Gardner Hall of Fame, the Mass 10-Pin Hall of Fame. Please welcome George Tigner.
Well, thank you, everybody. I do have to say that when Chris called me and told me that I was going to be put into NEBA Hall of Fame, I was bowled over. Okay. And I'll tell you, it's quite an honor. And if I look out here and I see all you great bowlers, I mean, it's just amazing that you have the opportunity to bowl against each other. Hopefully win your matches. And if you don't, you just keep trying and keep coming back. I think it was said earlier that by Bill Spikenard. Sorry, Bill, I always used to call you Bill Spikenard too. And about, keep coming, keep bowling, young bowlers. You're just going to get better and better as you go along. My first tournament, I was 16 years old, and I never forget it. I had to get a note from my mother to allow me to bowl, because in the ABC rules, you had to be 18 years old to bowl for money. So I brought a note with me to bowl my first tournament. First NEBA was at Bradley Bowl, and 16 years old, and I didn't write the letter myself, believe me. My mom did it for me. So I want to thank my wife, Donna Lee. She actually got me back into bowling. I quit bowling for a while, and she saw some of my trophies hanging around and some of the things that I did, and she said, "Why aren't you bowling anymore?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, I just used to bowl." And she got me going again. And about 4 years later, I met this Mike Lichtenstein guy on TV, and the rest is history. So thank you, Donna Lee, and thank you, everyone, and congratulations to all of you.
Please record that George is the first to use the bowled over reference. But will he be the last? That's the question. Our next bowler, Mike Lothrop, passed away in April of 2012 at the very young age of 43. Mike was one of NEBA's most dominant players, winning 7 titles in his career. He won his first title in March of 1988 and went on to win at least 1 title each year from 1988 to 1993. Mike also won 23 JBT titles, and at the time of his last win was tied for the lead in that category. In February 1989, while Brian Bogosian was warming up in practice, fellow NEBA Hall of Famer Mike Lothrop called his shot and picked the 710 off a full rack. Please give a hand for Mike Lothrop. Our next Hall of Famer is from North Haven, Connecticut. He has 4 NEBA titles, his first coming in December 1980, and he won all 4 of his titles between 1980 and 1990. He had the 1981 NEBA high block of 1202. He's in the New Haven County Hall of Fame. He's a Connecticut State All Events Doubles and Team Champion. Please welcome Bob Glenn.
I thank you for this honor. I hope this tournament lasts for many more years. Thank you.
Our next Hall of Famer was formerly from Fall River, Mass., but now he's from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He has 8 NEBA titles. He first won in January of 1997. In 1996, he had a high block of 1306. He also has 4 PBA regional titles. He was the 2003 PBA East Region Rookie of the Year and the 2007 PBA Regional Players Champion. His fondest memory was his 8th title in East Providence in 2010, beating Mike Lichtenstein 280 to 279. His least fondest memory was his first NEBA ever, where he missed a 5-pin in the 10th of Game 5 to miss the cut by 3 pins. Sorry to leave it at that, but please welcome Scott Santos.
I love you, John. I will not be as long as Jack, but I do have something that means a lot to me. And I do have to take my phone out because it's on here. I would like to congratulate all of the fellow inductees for a wonderful accomplishment, and I can't believe this day is actually here. Thank you to all of the NEBA Board of Directors and the Hall of Fame Committee for putting this wonderful evening together. Well-deserved round of applause, and thank you very much. Over the 54 years of NEBA, the bowlers' names have changed. The one thing that has not changed is family. Without them, we would not be here today. All of our hours of practicing, traveling, and tournament play, our families have been there dedicating countless hours to watch us, support us, pick us up when we struggle, and are there when we win. Whether it's a spouse, significant other, siblings, or our children sitting at the lanes for hours hoping that we bowl badly so we can go do something else. There were the phone calls to my sister when I couldn't win a match and I was down. The excitement of my 5-year-old daughter, who is now 30. Yes, we are older. Handing her $1,000 in cash and her looking at you and says, "Daddy, you just won $1,000. The excitement of my daughter, of my son, when you shoot 300 on the PBA tour. Without family, and I'm sure that everyone would feel the same way, without each and every one of you being by our sides, tonight would not be possible. Thank you very much.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd. Our next Hall of Famer is currently from Avon, Connecticut, but originally was from the North Haven area. He has 4 NEBA titles. His first title came in August of 1977, and he won all 4 of his titles in 3 years. He was the first bowler to have his second 300 in NEBA in the 70s, when there were only 13 bowled in the entire decade. He finished 3rd in the PBA in a PBA National Tour event. He's a 3-time Connecticut State Champion. I would call him a pretty close friend. He and I have a PBA Regional Doubles title together. Please welcome Mr. Mike Leddick.
I want to thank NEBA for, it was actually a surprise call from Becky Craigling and telling me about my Hall of Fame for the NEBA. When I bowled NEBA from 76 to 80, it was something that I did to improve my bowling because there were great bowlers like Paul Moser, Pete Couture, Bill Spikenard, Larry Lickstein had bowled, proprietors like Red Burnham, and others that helped NEBA that made me feel that it was just done right. Okay. What I really enjoyed in going to NEBA tournaments was the camaraderie with all the bowlers, the best bowlers in New England, and really the food after the tournament. You know? And, you know, I was known for eating some good food afterwards. And Tim Cornelio, one of my best friends, along with Bruce Hall, once came out with this newspaper that he made, he had printed up, saying, when I broke my ankle, I actually broke it on the tour in a tournament, making a shot. And he had this thing saying, Mike Gleddick breaks ankle at salad bar. And he showed it to all the bowlers around the Hartford area, you know, in our scratch leagues. But anyways, so I missed that when the PBA, I had just turned or got my PBA card for Regional Pro in 1980, and in December they said no more PBA members in there. I really missed NEBA, and it is a great association. When they let us back in '88, well, I wasn't a PBA bowler after that. It was great to return for a little bit when I was able to bowl, but anyways, I miss it. I haven't bowled in 20 years, but thank you very much, everybody.
So when you broke your ankle, was it a strike? What happened? Our next Hall of Famer was the most famous backup bowler in NEBA history. Probably the only backup bowler in NEBA history. Ernie Hoster passed away in April of 1991 at the age of 62. He was from Somerset, Mass. He won 4 NEBA titles. He won his first title in March of 1967 and again in 73, 76, and 77. He had NEBA's high average in 1967 with 202.5. He shot NEBA's first 1300 in 1978, shooting 1308. He's a past NEBA president, and his grandson Ryan is accepting. So please, Ryan, would you come up and let's hear it for Ernie Hoster.
I didn't personally know my grandfather, but I know many of you guys did. And I just want to say I'm honored to take this award for him.
This next bowler submitted the best story, hands down. He's from Braintree, Mass. He won 4 NEBA titles, all in the 70s. His first title came in December of 1970, where he led the title, led the qualifying with 11:08, and to become the 3rd bowler to be both high qualifier and winning the tournament. His next 3 titles came in 1974, 75, and 79, and he is a former board member. So there was a tournament being held at Holiday Lanes in West Roxbury. I don't know how many of you remember that house from Massachusetts. And he won the tournament with a ball he dug out of his mother's garden. Let me say that again. He won the tournament with a ball he dug out of his mother's garden, because his mother asked him to put bowling balls around their garden to stop his dad from driving into her garden. So imagine there's a problem of your dad driving into the garden, so you put bowling balls in to stop that. I had always bowled well at West Roxbury with that ball, so I dug it up. But because it had settled into the ground over the years, he had to do some searching to find the ball. Please welcome the mailman, Tony Accardo.
The gentleman I beat that day is here. I won't mention his name, Billy Baker. All right, a couple of things. First and foremost, my lovely bride of 48 years. I love you so much, hon. Second, being left-handed, I always paid attention to other left-handed bowlers. So one day in Connecticut at a NEBA tournament, I saw this lefty bowling. And I turned to a friend of mine at that time, Russ Tilson. I said, this kid ain't going to make it. It was Larry Lichstein. How wrong can you be? The other one is, I had a terrible accident at work. It cost me 7 major back surgeries, including 4 fusions. They told me I would never bowl again. So people, I not only love this organization, I love bowling, and I consider it a privilege just to get out on the lanes and be able to bowl a game that I was told I would never be able to bowl again. Thank you.
Our next inductee is from Agawam, Mass. He has 4 NEBA titles. He won 2 titles in 1981. He won again in 1991 and won his last title in February of 1995, defeating Storm Division 258 to 256. He was Bowler of the Year in 1981. His fondest memory is shooting 300 against Dick Millward. Please welcome Ed Cozio.
I'm a little bit of an absent-minded kind of a person and have been for a while. So, if I don't put my keys in the right place when I'm home, I won't know where I put them. And, my wife will tell you, my wife Janie will tell you that she leaves a big basket of laundry at the bottom of the stairs and I'm supposed to take it up. I'll just walk right by it, right? Because I just don't see this stuff. But it's amazing for me how with just vivid accuracy I can remember some of the matches that I played in NEBA over the years. I can remember throwing those 2 strikes at Tony Renaud. Where's Tony in the 10th frame to win there? I can remember that Storm to Vincent match like it was yesterday. I can remember coming off that bench, coming up in that 10th frame, and I remember the move, the actual move I made on the lane in that 10th frame to be able to throw those 2 strikes in that match. And what I'm sharing with you here is just how important this all was to me and is to me, and especially to be here tonight, because for me to remember that stuff with that much accuracy in those moments like it was this moment right now, very special for me. I want to thank every one of you for being here. Congratulations to everybody in this organization and everybody in this Hall of Fame. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Our next Hall of Famer passed away in January of 2013 at the age of 86. John Federici was from Revere, Mass. He won 3 NEBA titles, with his titles coming in 66, 74, and 1985. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1967, and he was a charter member of NEBA. No one will be accepting for John, so please can we have a hand for John Federici. Our next Hall of Famer is from Cromwell, Connecticut. He has 3 NEBA titles, winning first in 1969. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1984. He won the 20th anniversary NEBA tournament. He also won the 1977 International Masters competition. He's a 3-time Connecticut State Champion, 2-time Greater Connecticut USBC All-Star Team member. Please welcome Larry Doobie.
I'll make this short. The one thing I want to say is I'm glad I met all you guys and had the privilege to bowl against you. I don't think you liked me so much back then, but I sure like all you guys right now. Thanks for this organization.
Our next Hall of Famer has been mentioned numerous times tonight. He was an inspiration to me, to Larry, and a number of other players when I was a punk kid working for Pat Bosco of Bloomfield Bowl. He's from Coventry, Connecticut. He won 3 NEBA titles. He won his first title in the inaugural year of NEBA. He also won in 1966 and 1972. He's in the Connecticut State Hall of Fame, Greater Central Connecticut USBC Hall of Fame. He's a 10-time Connecticut State Tournament champion. And at a tournament in 1964 at the Meadows, he set the 18, 24, 30, and 36 game scoring records. And if you ever watched this gentleman bowl in his prime, he threw a ball that none of us understood. He had so much hit on it, and it came back, and it hit so hard. We were all inspired by it. Please welcome Mr. Mike Collins.
Thanks, Bruce. There's a lot been said tonight, and everything I've heard is good. I didn't bowl a lot of NEBAs, but I bowled enough to really value the times that I did bowl, and met some great people in bowling. I mean, then several of them are here tonight, and it just made me feel good. I'm one of the few people that started working in bowling at 12 years old. I was a foul boy. 4-lane house in a league. They used to put a chair up at the one end of the foul lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, with a whistle. And if someone slid, they didn't have any electronics at those times. So if a bowler slid over the line, I'm to hold up so many fingers on the 1, 2, 3, or 4 and point to the guy that did it. So my first night was going good until someone went over the foul line. I put up 3 fingers, the whole place quit. Everybody stopped staring at me, and the manager says, "Are you sure he went over the line?" "Nope, I'm not sure." And so I got into bowling by watching, like, a 50 cents for a 7 to 9 o'clock league. 50 cents was my fee. Then I went on to be a pin boy. I graduated. And then I went in the military. I went to the Marine Corps. It was all pin boys. Come out of the Marine Corps, it was all machines. So I didn't really have an opportunity to see that. But I was really, I shot the first 300 around the area and everything, and so I got some stuff like that. I wanted to bowl so good. I was working for the telephone company. I used to drive to Paramus, New Jersey, to the big bowling center where they had all the TVs and everything. They had a 24-team league on Monday night, all the best bowlers in the East. I drove all the way down there to watch the 7 o'clock league and then drive all the way home, get in a shower, and go to work. So I did that for 7 weeks in a row, just to get osmosis. And you know, everyone chided me for it and everything, but it became good because the owner of Paramus Bowl said they're forming a PBA, and he thought I would be a good member. As soon as they got 100 members, they were going to open it up. So I joined, and I became one of the few lefties, and bowled the first 2 tournaments that they ever had. And I learned so much just by osmosis and watching and asking. Then you can sit there and you got the greatest bowlers in the world. You can ask them all the questions. And not so much like other sports where people wouldn't answer your questions. I never met a good bowler who wouldn't tell you their own secrets and give you some help. When I met Larry Lichstein, he was unique, and I knew he was unique. And so he watched me bowl, and I bowled a little bit. And finally, as he says and everything, we got together, and it was really a good situation for me. One of my luckiest things in life that happened to me was to develop a partner like Larry Lichstein. I'm very proud of him and his son, Michael, and his whole family was always nice and treated me good. So all I have to say is thank you, NEBA. Thank you for everybody in here who's ever talked to me and got along good with me. And all I can say is that I'll be with you guys until it's all over. I don't know how many I'll bowl, but maybe never again. But because I forgot how to hook the ball. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks very much.
This next Hall of Famer is an inspiration to us all. He comes from West Springfield, Mass. He won only 2 NEBA titles, winning in 1975 and 1980. He was the Bowler of the Year in 1977 and 1980, and in 1977, he was the Bowler of the Year without winning a NEBA title. One of very few bowlers to do that. This gentleman bowled 300 games at the age of 83 and 84. Give it up for Orv Gordon.
I didn't expect this, but here I am. And I love the competition that NEBA gave out. And I'm still bowling. I'm still enjoying the game. I really missed the tough competition, though. And if anybody wants to bowl 2-2-2, I'll bowl at Chicopee. And
Now, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Okay? A few aches and pains. The guy shot 300 at age 84. Come on. Our next Hall of Famer is from Ronkonkoma, New York.
How about to say Bergen?
How do you don't know who it is?
There's no one else from Ronkonkoma.
There's no one else from there. Don't make me say it again. He's got 7 NEBA titles. He first won in 2003 and is the only NEBA bowler to win back-to-back NEBA Tournaments of Champions in 2008 and 2009. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 2010. He has a 300 at the USBC Open Championships. He's a Bowler's Journal champion. He's a Connecticut State Singles and Team champion. And his best memory was watching his wife Amanda win 2 NEBA titles and admitting finally that she's better than him. Please welcome R.J. Broach.
Make this pretty short. First off, thank you to the committee for putting this amazing event together. All the inductees, congratulations. It's such a great honor to be up here and be a part of this association and this Hall of Fame. Thank you.
She is better than him. I've seen them both. Our next Hall of Famer is from Hampstead, New Hampshire. He has 9 NEBA titles. He first won in 1996, where he shot .300 to win his title. He won 2 titles in 1999, with one title being a doubles title with fellow Hall of Famer Greg Flamond. He won his last title in 2009. He's a board member. He's won the Mass State All Events doubles and team titles. You probably know him best as Stevie Wheel. Please welcome Stephen Dale Jr.
Thank you, everyone. All right, thanks. So when Chris called me, I'm just honored and humbled to be a participant in this first NEBA Hall of Fame induction. To be recognized with all the other inductees in the first inauguration is a very special day for me today. When I first got back into bowling, when I was in college in the mid-1990s, I was fortunate to learn from some very good people and others who gave me an opportunity to bowl when I would not have had the opportunity to do so financially. All of these people I am glad to call great friends over the years. I can't name everyone, but I remember regularly traveling to NEBA and sharing rooms with guys like Hans Feko, TR, Tom McCarrick, for those of you who remember Tommy, and many others. I reference these two because I can't tell you how many hotels we shared after bowling a Saturday night squad, and just talking about the lane pattern and knowledge sharing and camaraderie after the squad. That is what really makes NEBA special. The friendships, the competition will forever be a significant part of my life. Guys like the recently passed Richie Mines, he was the first one to really put me in any tournaments. And then my great friend and now golf buddy, Bill Zioli, and then co-sponsoring me with Eddie Roberts. And of course, my great friend, Joel Leader, sponsored me locally, nationally, everywhere. Great friend. And I still remember when I won my first NEBA title, throwing 300 in the title match and driving to BZ's house after we ate, sharing the news, and of course, splitting the money. Everyone who knows me well knows how important bowling has been in my life. And getting that phone call put my emotions, like now, into a place I can't really describe. My mom and sister have been a couple of my strongest supporters. I can't thank them enough. And even though I can't bowl like I used to, because spending time with my beautiful daughters, Ashley and Haley, and having my wonderful girlfriend Sharon, who's so special to be by my side, I still love competing with this region's best players on the weekends I can, and getting the invitation to join this small class of players since competition 1963 is just amazing. Thank you. One more thing. I couldn't have done it without guys like Chris and Buddy's Pro Shop. Those guys have just phenomenal. Thank you for all your support.
Good job, Wheel. Our next Hall of Famer needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. From Windsor Locks, Connecticut, with 4 NEBA titles. He was NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1968, the year he won his first title. He won his last title in 1998 at South Windsor 10-pin, 30 years apart. PBA National title in 1971, 4-time PBA Regional Champion, 2-time ABC USBC Open Champion, 1969 and 1970. He was the Player Services Director for the PBA, and he's in the PBA Hall of Fame. Please welcome Larry Lichstein.
Thank you so much. This award is, like I said, what did I do? What did I do? Did I screw up?
You took the mic out. Go ahead.
You got me scared to death.
Larry,
Yes.
We'll fix it later. Keep going, buddy.
Thank you. Like I said earlier, this is the greatest honor I've ever achieved, and to be going in the Hall of Fame with my son is so surreal. I love him so much. And my wife, Ann, who died 25 years ago, pushed me. She was my wife of a day when I won my first NEBA, and she watched Michael win his. And I think she might be the only woman in NEBA history to watch her husband and son win their first NEBAs. So this is for her. She's looking down tonight. She's responsible for Michael, the type of man he is. And I'm only responsible for two things about Michael. And I want you to know I'm very proud of these two things. I'm responsible for his approach and his hairdo. And after that, his kindness, his gentleness, the type of man he is because of his mother, Ann, and we love you. Thank you.
We have a very tenuous microphone situation up here, so it's easily disturbed. So. Our next Hall of Famer is from Swansea, Massachusetts. He's the owner of 8 NEBA titles, winning first in 1979. He won the first tournament champions ever held in 1993 and again in 1995, making him the first to win that event twice. He won 2 titles in each of the years 1993, 1995, and 1996, so the theme 2 keeps coming up. He won 2 Mass State titles in the Southeast Mass. He's in the Southeastern Massachusetts and the Mass State Hall of Fame. He was the manager at Holiday Lanes and a fantastic NEBA host. Please give it up for Dick Millward.
It's an honor to be able to be here to accept this for him. He's sorry he couldn't make it tonight. He had a prior engagement. And congratulations to you all.
Somebody asked me earlier, where's Dick Millward? I said, he's here. We'd know if he wasn't here. You just can't find him. This next bowler is known to be from Stoneham, Mass, but is now in Vista, California. I think he's watching on the live stream, at least I hope so. He has 7 NEBA titles. He won his first title in 1978 and his last in April of 2000, and he won the TOC in 1997. He's a past board member. He won a high roller in 1999. He's a 2-time Massachusetts State Team Champion and in the Mass 10-Pin Hall of Fame. And he actually sent me a quote. It's hard for me to put in words what being a part of NEBA has meant. I just hope that the energy and influence of NEBA helps bring more bowlers in the future. Keep up the great job and send my love and respect to all. Please, how about a hand for Hans Feko? Hi, Hans. This next bowler is a real hero of mine, as I've watched him mature and I've watched him work and I watched him improve. He's from Charlestown, Rhode Island. He has 12 NEBA titles. His first was the non-champs in 2001, and he won the 50th anniversary tournament in 2013. He was the Rookie of the Year in 2001. He had the high qualifying block in 2015 of 1366. He's also a NEBA board member. But it doesn't stop there. He's a PBA national champion. He's a 2-time PBA regional champion. And along with Alex Aguiar, he just opened up his 6th Strike FX Pro Shop, located in Brockton. Free plug. Please welcome John Van Hees.
Thanks, guys. Obviously, as a lot of people here have already kind of pointed out, it's pretty amazing to be here tonight. I joined NEBA in 2001. I was fortunate enough, my first weekend, I saw my father win his first title thanks to Alex. And we never got to bowl doubles together because of that, up until about a year ago. So thanks, Alex, again. But I've had a chance to grow and mature in this organization. I really appreciate you guys being here and being with me. Jack, Becky, Joey, Dan, everybody who's been there, Debbie. I mean, thank you so much for being there, guys. It's a truly amazing honor, having a chance to bowl on TV, bowl for a title, get the chance to go to the PBA Hall of Fame dinner and see Pete Couture get inducted, a man who was from NEBA, and to see just an amazing person be accomplished and put into the highest level of the sport. And I sat there with Bill Spikenard, by the way, and Bill was one of the most incremental pieces in my championship run. He sought me out and helped me win my first title by just being a good person. And we found ourselves talking about NEBA in the PBA Hall of Fame dinner, and I think that's really when I understood kind of what I was in. I'm 36, I'm still young, still learning, still kind of learning to appreciate really what this is all about. So to be there and part of that was pretty amazing. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate this, and I look forward to seeing all my friends and people I've competed against be up here as well, getting a chance to stumble through this as well. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Love you.
It's another inspirational story coming up. This gentleman is from Braintree, Massachusetts. He has 7 NEBA titles, and he is NEBA's oldest winner. He won his first title in 1964 when he was in college. He's the oldest bowler to win a NEBA title, winning at Westgate in 2015, and he beat NEBA's youngest winner, Tyler Perry. Between his first title and his last, there's a 51-year time span. That's a record, in case you didn't know. He's a longtime board member of 25 years, and he was part of the Hall of Fame committee. He's on Senior Team USA. He's won a PBA Regional. He's got 2 high roller titles. Who am I talking about but Ed Roberts?
I'm just going to say it's an honor to be here with all you guys. Hope you have a great night, and that's it.
51 years between titles, that's all he's got to say. Perfect.
Eileen was trying to film it, and it was over.
She was trying to film it, Eddie.
It was over before she hit the...
No, I don't want to criticize people for being brief, please. It's okay. Our next Hall of Famer is from Willimantic, Connecticut. He has 5 NEBA titles. He won those titles over the course of 3 decades, winning in 1967, 69, 72, 79, and 87. He's the only 3-time NEBA president. They kept asking him back. He was president in 70 and 71, again in 77 and 78, and again in 88 and 89, and he still attends board meetings. He won a PBA regional title in 1978 at Skytop Lanes. He won the 1977 Connecticut State All Events, and he's in the Connecticut State Hall of Fame. Please welcome Mike Klapik.
Huge appreciation. Thank you.
Boy, we're just going
I had the pleasure of knowing this next Hall of Famer when I was growing up in Connecticut. He's from Berlin. He has 4 NEBA titles, winning his first title in October of 1973 and winning again in 1974, 85, and 86. He was NEBA Bowler of the Year in only 1 year in 1979, where he won without a victory. He was a former board member. He's in the Greater Central Connecticut and Connecticut State Hall of Fames. He was a New England version of coining the phrase fruit salad. Please welcome Terry Yorker.
This particular evening presents a really nice thing I can do that I've thought about for a long time as I've gotten older. Simple fact of the matter is, none of us got here by ourselves, so this is my opportunity to say thanks to everybody that helped me as a kid. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. This next bowler beat the system because he has 300 games both right and left-handed. He's from Newtown, Connecticut. He won 4 NEBA titles in a relatively short span, winning 2 titles in 1981, another in 82, and his last in 83. He was a NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1982. He's a 2-time Central Connecticut team champion and a Connecticut State doubles champion. Please welcome Gary Grant.
I'd like to just take a moment to thank NEBA and all those involved to put this evening together. It's great. It's an opportunity for us to see some of us that we haven't seen in 20 years. But most of all, I would like to thank my wife, Laura, who has been my greatest supporter in the last 35 years. Thank you.
We heard from this gentleman earlier and are incredibly honored that he and his wife made the trip from the Chicago area. He has 5 NEBA titles. He won his first in August of 1968 at the age of 18 at the only tournament ever held outside of New England at Madison Square Garden. He won his first title at Madison Square Garden at age 18. He's a 3-time PBA national champion, a 10-time PBA regional champion. He's a USBC Team All Events champion. He's a USBC Gold coach, Team USA coach, just got back from Germany. Please welcome Bill Spikenard.
Well, it's a great plaque, and you know, Team USA thing, I didn't say a couple of things about that, and I have to. It's in the World Championships, there's 10 gold medals that can be awarded, 5 for the women and 5 for the men, and we won 9 out of 10 of gold medals. And I got one right here. So, and overall, you can win 28 medals, and our team won 18 of the 28 medals. And coming from NEBA to there, to being part of that, it's pretty amazing. And thank you all for NEBA and everything else that's happened. Thanks.
I grew up with this next bowler in Connecticut area. He's from formerly of Southington, Connecticut. He now hails from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. He has 6 NEBA titles. He first won in 1977. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1986. He had the NEBA High Average in 1983 and 86. He won a Bowler's Journal doubles title with Bill Spikenard. And he's a member of the Mass and Connecticut State Halls of Fame. His fondest memory was watching Tom Lavery win his first title. I don't know how many of you knew Tom. I knew Tom well. Tom Lavery was legally blind. And just before the final match started, there was a power outage. There were just a few emergency lights on in the center when he made the offer, let's bowl anyway. and And he psyched his opponent out totally. Along with Tony Marine, he won the first doubles event ever held in 1984. Please welcome Tim Cornelio.
Hi. My bowling actually started when I bowled in a tournament up at Bradley Bowl, and Larry Lichstein ran the pro shop, and I started hanging around there because he was a great bowler and I wanted to be good. And he told me one night, he said that he was behind on his rent in a pro shop in Cranston, Rhode Island, and he was going to square up the rent that night, and he asked me if I could come and help him. Well, Larry's idea of squaring up the rent was we left at 1 o'clock in the morning. We got to the pro shop around 3 in the morning. We emptied the place and left. You thought I forgot that, huh? At any rate, for some reason, they let me become a member of the board of directors. And I was really only in there for levity purposes. I would make jokes. And I never realized we ended up having a very important vote 1 month. We were voting to replace a current president, and we were all allowed to ask one question, and it turned out that I had the most important question. His name was Kevin Winslow, and we were going to vote to release him from the presidency, and I waited till I was the last person to ask the question, and my question was, Kevin, are you carrying your gun tonight before we vote? All right, at any rate. Tony Renaud and I became partners in bowling for a few years in NEBA, and it was a good partnership. We were very, very similar. When our opponent would throw a Brooklyn strike to beat us, Tony would walk up and shake the guy's hand and congratulate him, and I would have to seek him out in the next tournament to apologize for what I said to him when I lost. Let's see, I ended up, I stopped bowling totally in the year 2000, and I started playing pool. And one of the nice things about playing pool was after I beat somebody, they never went up to me and said, I wouldn't have won if I wasn't left-handed. Very, very, very true. I'm going to tell a story. I was on tour in the late 70s, and I want to tell you an early Anthony story I had. He came up to me one day in the paddock, and he had mentioned that some people had mentioned I was good with cars, and he asked me if I could take a look at his car that he was towing behind his motorhome because it was overheating. And so I go back there with him, and I open the hood, and there was a split in the radiator hose. And I said, oh, Earl, I'll go take care of this, no problem. So I replaced the hose. I filled the car up with antifreeze, and he hands me this cranberry gyro. He goes, here, Tim, here's my new cranberry gyro. Try it for the next tournament. So I go to the next tournament, and back then we were there was rabbit squads, and it was very difficult to make the cut. But what ended up happening is I led the rabbit, which meant that not only did I get into that tournament, but I also got into the following one. I couldn't wait to tell Earl, and I'm looking in the parking lot for him, and he doesn't show up for the practice session, and he ends up pulling in that night with just his motorhome, and so I go, Earl, you're not going to believe this. I led the qualifying with that ball. He's like, wow, that's great, Tim. And I go, where's your tow car? He says, you're not going to believe this. He says, last night we were driving over to a little grocery store, and the whole car caught on fire. The whole thing burned up. And I go, Earl, what was it? He goes, well, they said somebody had left this piece of radiator hose on the engine compartment. So I said, Earl, do you want the ball back? So, I just want to change the subject a little bit about health. You know what? If you should all go out and get yourself checked by doctors for your prostate. I'm in pretty. No, this one isn't a joke. But at any rate, I thought I was in great shape. I ended up having they found cancer in my prostate, and they ended up getting it removed. The only bad part about this is now, after the cancer surgery, sex is like trying to play pool with a rope. Hey, Ira. Yeah, I said it. You know, our ready to go? All right. Okay. Just one last thing. I think that Michael Lichstein is such an unbelievable representative of NEBA being the all-time champion, because not only is he an unbelievable bowler, but he's even a nicer person. And I think we got a great guy. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
You don't get your picture.
Okay.
That was the end.
All right. Settle down. He's here all week. Tip your waitresses, please. So if anybody asks you about the dinner tomorrow, you can say I got dinner and advice to check my prostate. So you can just say. So it was a very productive evening, really, for all of us. So. Our next inductee is from Colchester, Connecticut. He has 10 NEBA titles. He won his first one in August of 2008. He was NEBA Bowler of the Year in 2013 and 2015. I remember the 2015 campaign because I was leading most of the year, except that he turned around and won 6 titles that year and won Bowler of the Year. He was a NEBA Senior of the Year in 2014 and 2015. He had the high qualifying block of 1355 in 2014. He has a PBA regional title, a 300 at the USB Open Championships, and he won the 2015 Bowlers Journal Doubles Championships with John Wilbur. Please welcome Todd Lathrop.
I'd just like to thank the NEBA Board of Directors and staff, past and present, for all that they've done and still do. And congratulations to all the inductees, and thank you for this honor.
Our next Hall of Famer is from Coventry, Rhode Island. He has 12 NEBA titles, winning his first in 1981. He won the TOC in 2004 and has won 4 NEBA Invitational tournaments. He was high average in NEBA 1995 and 1996. He won 2 Senior Bowler of the Year titles in 2010 and 2011. He's an 8-time Rhode Island state champion, and he's in the Rhode Island Hall of Fame. And his fondest memory was winning the last tournament his dad was there to see and doubling in the 10th to win. Sorry, Chris Forey. And then he won the first NEBA after his dad passed. And he still has every ball from every title. Please welcome Dave Forcier.
I'm glad I didn't have to follow Tim. I don't have much to say that nobody else has said already tonight, but what NEBA has meant most to me is family and friends over the years. Nothing that I enjoyed more than the rides back and forth from NEBA with my friends, arguing about sports, lane conditions, whatever. So with that said, this is a great honor. I want to thank my family and my friends for being here tonight, new and old. I want to give a shout out to probably the nicest guy NEBA ever met, Bobby Miles, rest in peace. And I want to thank my family for letting me bowl all these years. I love this game, so this is a great honor. Thank you very much.
I've been working on my impression of this next Hall of Famer, but I'm going to refer to John Wilbur because I just can't get it right. You kidding me? How's that? He's from Hudson, New Hampshire. He has 10 NEBA titles. He first won in February of 1978 and has won over 5 decades. His last title came in February of 2014. He was NEBA Bowler of the Year in 2007. He was a Senior of the Year in 2007 and 2008. He won a PBA regional title. He's won a high roller sweeper champion. I crossed with him in Keene. He played 4th arrow as a left-hander and made them look dead easy. And I was lucky enough to beat him today in the seniors. Please welcome Russ Mashad.
First and foremost, this has always been all about family, friends, so on and so forth. The people that I've met since 1974, I was 17 years old. I had just come off national TV bowling, CBS Sports Spectacular for the only thing. There was no JBT back then. I finished second in the country. It was a $5,000 scholarship, paid for my whole first year of college. First tournament I ever bowled coming out of that was NEBA in Malden. I was 17 years old. I walk in. There's Billy Spikenard, Pete Couture, Paul Moser, so on and so forth. And I'm like, I walk in with one bowling ball, Manhattan rubber. And was fortunate to make the finals, and I lost to a good friend of Billy's, Leon Yarish. But this whole organization over the years has always been about fun for me. I'm a very competitive bowler. I love the competition. I strive hard to beat all old and young. Never took a backseat to anybody. I love it. I still do. I'm going to be 61 in December. I still feel I can compete with the young guys. It's been a blast. My family has been the first and foremost thing that's been behind me in all these years. I was 6 years old. I lived in New Hampshire. My father took me to a candlepin bowling alley. They said I was too young to bowl candlepins. Took me to the 10-pin bowling alley, and they said, bring them on. My father was a state champion in candlepins. He's in the Hall of Fame for 10 pins in New Hampshire now, which I am also. This honor is an incredible honor for me. When Chris called me, I actually broke down and cried. I'm not going to cry today. I've already done it. But the whole thing about this is the competition is incredible. Old, young, watch the young kids come up now, no thumbs and this and that and everything else. It's been such a great, great lifelong endeavor for me. I love them all, and I really enjoy it, and hopefully I can still compete moving on. I would be remiss if I didn't say this. one of my younger best friends out of New Hampshire, who was a stud and a half bowling and loved it probably more than anybody I know other than Michael Lichstein. Michael Lothrop passed away way too young. Incredible talent. His father loved to come watch him. It was all his life, and at 43 he died. I love him. I miss him, and I consider this a great honor to be here tonight to represent myself, but to also think about the people who have gone, Ronnie Mccall's and all the people before us, and there's so many of you that are going to continue to bowl great. So thank you so much, and enjoy your evening.
We're definitely getting into the rare air of very tough NEBA competitors. This next bowler passed away in October of 1999 at the age of 52. Ron Mccall was the holder of 8 NEBA titles. He first won in 1970. He won 3 titles in 1973 and won his last title in October of 1984. Please give a hand for Ron Mccall. This next Hall of Famer is our host for the weekend. You heard him speak earlier. He's from Harwinton, Connecticut. He has 10 NEBA titles. He first won in January of 1983. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1985 and 87. He was a Senior Bowler of the Year in 2012 and 2013. He's a member of the Hall of Fame Committee. He won the 2012 Bowler's Journal Senior Doubles. He's a member of the Greater Central Connecticut and Connecticut State Hall of Fames. Owner of Hall of Fame Silver Lanes, please welcome Tony Renaud.
Hello again, everybody. To keep this brief, but I would really need to mention a few people. Coming up in the 80s, Tim Cornelio, he sought me out, and you helped me a great deal, pal. And sorry about that. You took me under your wing, you gave me confidence, and you really helped build me. So thank you very much. Marcel, Roger, Mike, Richie, you guys, we grew up together. We won a lot of titles together. And you're all part of this honor. To my family, we're going through some tough times. And my beautiful wife, my sisters, I love you all, and thank you for supporting me.
Thank you, Tony. Our next bowler was called Best in the 10th by Mike Lichstein. He's from Lynn, Mass. He's won 11 NEBA titles, first winning in March of 1990. He's a 4-time NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1990, 91, 97, and 2000. He won the high average in 1990 and 1993. He's been a past NEBA Secretary and Treasurer from 1992 to 1998, and when he took over, NEBA entries were at 120. When he left, they were at 233, average per tournament. He introduced pots and brackets, revamped the newsletter, and did many other things to revive NEBA. He's also a 1999 ABC USBC Masters champion. We recognized that earlier. He's a high roller best ball champion. He won the 2008 USBC Bowler's Journal doubles. He's a 6-time ABC USBC World Team Challenge champion, 2 times Lilac Scratch Challenge champion, 2 times Massachusetts State champion. Please welcome Brian Bogosian.
Thank you, everyone. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight either. I said no when they asked if they wanted me to speak or not. But I consider this the greatest honor of my bowling career as far as Hall of Fames. It's my 3rd induction at this facility, and this is by far the greatest honor in Hall of Fames that I could ever wish for. Thank you very much, everyone, and I really appreciate it.
It's like a dream team up here. Our next Hall of Famer hails from Middletown, Connecticut. He has 12 titles. His first title was in February of 1996, with many of his titles coming in the late 90s and early 2000s. He's a 3-time Bowler of the Year. 1995, the year after his first title, 1996, and 2003. He's a 1986 and 1987 NJCAA First Team All-American, 1997 Lilac Scratch Challenge champion. He won the doubles title with Becky Craigling at East Providence in October 2007, which was Becky's first title. Please welcome Chris Rebstock.
Well, let's thank Chris and Bruce and the rest of the Hall of Fame committee. What a night this is. I'm overwhelmed to be part of the amongst you fellow peers. This is awesome. 20 years ago, I was part of NEBA history with 2 of the best friends anyone could ask, with Brian Bogosian and Mike Lichstein. I won 1 tournament. Brian won the next. Michael won the 3rd. Later that year, we repeated that same trio, winning the first and only time we could ever say that in the history of this club. Thank you to everyone. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Mop. Oh, okay, Stoke Ramp. Thanks, Hoss. All right. Go ahead, keep them coming. Come on. Our next Hall of Famer is from New Bedford, Massachusetts. He's the holder of 12 NEBA titles. He first won in June 1966, and he last won in 1998. Let's see, that's 32 years. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1973 and won in 1974 without winning a title. He had the high qualifying block of 1193 in 1969. He had the high average in 1966 of 204.1, the first year it was awarded. In 1975 at 215.1, and 1997 at 228.3 to show you how the scoring had increased over the years. He tracked right along with it and was high average each of those years. He's got 2 PBA titles, including the 1976 U.S. Open. He's a 3-time PBA regional champion. He's a member of the Massachusetts State Hall of Fame. Please welcome Paul Moser.
Well, thank you very much, NEBA, for this honor. It's a great 50 years in the making. And, you talk about bowling on tour and how tough you have to be. Well, my teeth were cut in NEBA with the great competition and what the skills we had to learn, in match play especially. So it was a great honor to be a part of this, and thank you very much.
This next bowler throws a ton. He's from Dartmouth, Mass. He's got 18 titles. He first won in 1999. He was NEBA Bowler of the Year in 2009 and 2014. He was a past NEBA president. He's a mini eliminator champion, a true amateur tournament champion. He won a PBA member, non-member regional. He's a two-time ABC USBC World Team Challenge champion. He and John Van Hees just opened their 6th Strike FX location in Brockton, Mass. Another plug. His favorite memory, he says, I especially will hold near and dear to me the many conversations with the late George Shakar, who was NEBA's greatest fan. Please welcome Alex Aguiar.
Thank you. Seeing as how everybody went real quick, maybe I'll just take 25 minutes here. Pull a Larry Lichstein here, and I'll just steal the microphone for a bit. No. Thank you very much. This is an honor. And as my friend Bruce said here, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention George. George was NEBA's greatest fan, and anybody in this room that remembers George, he was just the best. George's last words to me, and I'll never forget it, the lollipop kid Todd Lathrop back there somewhere beat me for a title at Nutmeg Bowl, and George walked up to me and he says, Alex, you choked. Thanks, George. So that was the last conversation I had with George, and him reminding me that I choked against Todd Lathrop in a title match where I got my 2nd place finish. But many memories have been had over the years at NEBA. Paul Moser back there, he won't take any credit for it, but that guy dealt with me when I was 14, 15, running around the bowling center. Taught me the benefit of a free arm swing, and he kept grinding into me as a kid. And Paul, you know what I think of you, buddy. Thank you. I love you, buddy. Then the other guys right over there, Mike Dupree. Mike's career was cut short. Back injury. I love you, man. You took me to a lot of bowling tournaments as a kid, and you could have just turned your back on a little punk kid, but you took me in, man. I'll never forget that very much. I love you, man. Then my wife, my kids, they deal with me being gone. You know, I'm home now more at the pro shops, but my wife and kids have dealt with a lot, and my mom and my dad for, again, dealing with a punk kid who didn't want to come home and just spent his time in the bowling center. But greatest honor I've ever had in my bowling career. I thank you all very much for being here. This guy right here helped me along the way very much. I love you, Chris. You've done wonders for my bowling career. Can't say enough for you, man. Thank you all very much. I love you all.
Is that what they call co-opetition? Buddies versus Strike FX? Just checking. This next champion hails from Andover, Massachusetts. He has 4 NEBA titles. He first won in 1970. He was the NEBA Bowler of the Year in 1970 and 1972, 1970 through 1972. The only bowler to win that title 3 years in succession. He was high average in 1970, 72, 74, and 80. In 1970, he was high average with 205, high game block of 527, and high single game of 290. He has a PBA regional title. He's in the Mass State 10-pin Hall of Fame. His best memories from NEBA were his first win, where he beat Ron Hayden and Mike Collins. Please welcome George Lehane.
I want to thank everybody who's ever been involved with NEBA for this great honor. When I found out about this, they asked me to list a few credits for bowling, and quite frankly, I really couldn't think of a whole lot. And I want to thank Bruce Hall for coming up with some, because it made me look a little better. I mean, I'm listening to Becky Craigling rattle. Well, not she wasn't doing it, but they're rattling off her accomplishments and her humanitarian stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to leave now. And then you bring up Spikenard, and Wachowski and Lichstein and Renaud, and I'm thinking, man, I got nothing left. So But anyway, it's been a great run, and I hope NEBA goes on forever. It was a big part of my life. And I really want to thank Paul Moser, who's been my friend for 52 years. The first time I ever saw him, I was 14 years old, and I saw him throw the ball. Well, back then, he throws it straight now, but back then, he hooked it a ton. And I could not believe it. I mean, you know, when you left the 2.8 or the 3.9 and you made that, it was like a really good shot. I mean, he would just, the ball was coming at an angle like 45 degrees. And this was, I saw him in Lynn at a junior tournament, and I said, man, I could never do that. But to even be mentioned in the same breath with some of these guys is just amazing, because quite frankly, they're mostly better than I am. Thanks.
I asked George to be on my all-lefty nationals team, and he said, I don't think so, I'm not good enough. It's like, George, there's only 3 plaques left, dude. It's like, dude. We heard from this next Hall of Famer earlier. He's from Peabody, Massachusetts. I'm from Massachusetts.
You were right the first time.
I was right the first time. I corrected myself for the Connecticut pronunciation. He holds 14 titles. He first won in 1968, with his most recent win, the TOC, in 2003, making him the first bowler to win titles in 5 decades. He was a Senior Bowler of the Year in 2004 and 2005. He won the 1971 ABC USBC Classic Doubles. He's a 2-time PBA Regional Resident Pro Champion. He's won 2 times Massachusetts Singles and Doubles state titles. He's in the Mass State and Greater Boston Halls of Fame. His greatest and fondest memory from NEBA was winning his first title in Lawrence in 1968 in front of his mom and dad, and his last, which was the TOC just after his dad's passing, and dedicating it to him. Please welcome Barry Warshevsky.
Well, again, I guess I don't have much to say. The only thing I can say is I consider my accomplishments and my years in NEBA as a journey. It's a journey that started with a young kid that was totally fascinated with bowling. I was a candlepin bowler. I was a good candlepin bowler. I was averaging 112 at 12 years old. They were mad when I quit. All right, I took up 10 pins. I bowled junior leagues with Ed Roberts, and again later competing in junior leagues with Paul Moser, George Lehane, many others, Ron Mccall, and here we are as Hall of Famers. It's been an amazing journey. It's been really funny because my mother and father never wanted me to bowl. Typical Jewish mother and father wanted me to be a doctor, preferably a dentist. Well, as you know, I'm in the pro shop business. I didn't disappoint them. I'm drilling and I'm filling, but I ain't getting the money. I want to thank NEBA. I wouldn't be in the pro shop business today if it wasn't for my fixation with 10-pin bowling caused by NEBA. I guess I can blame you, but I want to thank you. I want to thank my family. I have 3 wonderful sons that were at a lot of tournaments in years. My whole family supported me. I'd like to thank my wife, Arlene, who, when we started to date years ago, she used to tell her friends, oh, well, I'm dating this guy, Barry. He's a bowler. And all his friends said, oh, he likes to bowl a couple of leagues? Sorry, it was a little more than that. She didn't realize what she was getting into. It's still that way. I love it. NEBA, thank you for this. It means a ton. Let's keep this tournament going forever. Thank you.
Getting down to it. Our second to last Hall of Fame inductee is from Guilford, Connecticut. He owns 16 NEBA titles, first winning in 1976. He owns a record 8 NEBA Bowler of the Year titles: 98, 99, 2001, 2002, 2005, 2006, 2008, 2012. He was high average in 2001, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2011. He had the high qualifying block of 1371 in 1997 and 1361 in 2008. He's in the Connecticut State Hall of Fame, the New Haven County Hall of Fame. And you probably didn't know that his hair was cut on Halloween of 2009 by his wife because he was making a trip to Florida. Please welcome Bill Webb.
Well, originally when we talked about having this event, and Chris mentioned, do you want to speak? I said, there's 50 people. I don't really think we want to hear everyone. Chris now tells me we're making good time, so I guess I could talk a little bit. But to give you an idea of what this means to me, NEBA is the one thing that I've always done, I've always bowled. From 1993 to 2009, I missed one NEBA event, and I was in Las Vegas. So it has meant a lot to me. I've always made sure that no matter what, somehow I got there. And for some of you people that don't know, I was the one that was crazy enough. I moved to Florida, and I flew to bowl NEBA for about 7 months. I probably would have kept going, but we were trying to move and sell houses, and I got too busy, and I just couldn't keep it all together. So this does mean a tremendous amount to me. And it's all about the people I've met here. You know, especially when I was bowling NEBA kind of earlier, was guys like Tony and Roger and Marcel and those guys that kind of took me under their wing. And you know, in that time that I was flying back and forth from Florida, obviously I needed a place to stay, so Roger Burrell would make sure that someone would pick me up at the airport, and that would be on Saturday afternoon. And on Monday morning, someone would have to drive me to the airport and drop me off at the airport at 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is just the type of people that you meet from bowling NEBA. I could thank 100 people in this room, and that would definitely take too long. But again, this just means a tremendous amount to me, and I'm very proud to be part of this organization. Thank you very much.
Wow, who's left? This next bowler has been referred to at least 10 times tonight. I've been counting. He holds 30 NEBA titles, obviously the most of anyone. He first won in 1988. He's a 5-time NEBA Bowler of the Year in 88, 89, 92, 94, and 2004. He was high average in 11 years. I'm not going to read the years because there's too many of them. High qualifying block in 4 years. High roller champion for 200 grand. ABC, USBC, Brunswick World Team Challenge Grand Champion. Connecticut State Hall of Fame, Greater Central Connecticut Hall of Fame, Suffield Hall of Fame. And he was named after Mike Collins. Please welcome Mike Lichstein.
You know, I'd first like to thank all the tournament directors over the years, the secretaries. There's an awful lot that goes into it to make NEBA run the way it is and be what it has been for, you know, well over 50 years. Rick Pulse and Bill Baker when I started, Bob Cornish, who couldn't spell Brian B's name, but he still was a hell of a tournament director. Kevin Winslow, Marcella Sard stepped in, did such a nice job. Jack Staley, Kent Weatherwax, Joey Naru. Now we're on to Danny Kaye. I think of the secretaries and treasurers. I think of Bob and Barb Frazier. Next was Brian B., of course, and now Becky Craigling. And without all of them, I'm not so sure where NEBA would have went. My two best friends in the whole wide world, Christopher Rebstock, Brian Bogosian, they've helped me so much on the lanes, but more importantly, they've helped me at times when life was a struggle and my own personal struggles, and I'm not so sure I would have got through it without them. My children, Caitlin couldn't make it tonight. She would have lasted about 10 minutes and said, "Dad, West Farms Mall is still open. Can we get out of here?" My son Michael is sitting with us tonight. Someday he's going to buy Belize Toyota, and he's going to rename it Lich's Toyota. I love him. He's wonderful. Of course, my parents, my mother, she couldn't make it tonight. I think she's upstairs tonight with Sonny Webb, and they're live streaming this, so hopefully Starbucks upstairs has Wi-Fi, and Mrs. Ann and Sonny would see this ceremony with all you wonderful people. I was lucky enough to be Larry Lickstein's son. I got to see so much and do so much, and all the Pro Bowlers that I got to watch. Some, of course, are in here tonight. Paul Moser, Billy Spikenard. Even though Pete Couture is not in the NEBA Hall of Fame, he's certainly in my Hall of Fame. I watched John Kirker bowl on the Pro Bowlers Tour. I watched Timmy Cornelio bowl on the Pro Bowlers Tour. All of that because of my dad. We have a very unique relationship. We laugh all the time. We joke all the time. It's an honor to be here with him tonight. Sometimes he calls me crying, and it makes me cry. But I love him. I'm so proud of his career. I often say that he's the ultimate bowling survivor, and I really believe that. I'm proud of his titles and accomplishments and how many people he's tried to help. And he's done a nice job of doing that. I got some great funny stories about so many people here tonight. Chris Fiali, Chris Soule, Patrick Allen, Joe Cristillo, John Wilbur is funny. He makes me laugh. Sean Murray. I could talk about so many people tonight that I would probably go over the 2 or 3 minutes we were supposed to be up here. The people in NEBA are wonderful. This isn't about me. This is about Frank Anton all the way to R.J. Broach and Frankie Calca. You guys are wonderful. I love y'all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You got through it. Chris has one thing to say.
Obviously, we heard a lot of great stories and memories, but NEBA will not continue unless we continue to give back to the sport that has given us all so much. Try to remember that tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much to the Hall of Fame committee. Thanks for everyone who made this night possible. Thank you. I saw just amazing quiet and respect as all of the Hall of Famers came up. It was very emotional and very touching for me, and I think everyone here. Thank you so, so much. The bar is still open, although on a cash basis. And thank you and good night, and we'll see you on the lanes. Oh, one reminder. Tomorrow we're going to introduce the Hall of Famers at the beginning of the 12:30 squad. So if you could be there, we'd really appreciate it. And also one more thing with the platinum sponsors of the event, pick up their pins, which are over here by the photo booth. Thanks, everyone. Good night.